50th City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation, and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
Is from the Bangkok Hospital patio, Dr. Nira. She's a neurologist and she's going to speak on the topic of in search of a good night's sleep. Now, how many of us toss and turn for half an hour or an hour before we get to sleep? Hands, come on, how many? A few of us, yeah? Is that before or after you've had 3 bottles of wine? Anyway, she's going to tell us what happens to your sleep patterns as you age and what you can do about it. When we find the... Oh, there it is. Here we go. Dr. Nira. Please welcome Dr. Nira from Bangkok Hospital patio.
Thank you so much for the chance giving me to be here. So, first of all, I get some comment that I have to speak very slow. And at first I asked, how long do I have a chance to be here for today's meeting? They said maybe just 40 minutes. But I asked, could it be possible to be 2 hours? I would like to stay with you longer because I think many people, we have the problem with sleep. About the sleep problem, we need to think in 2 ways. No, first of all, I would like to ask you, do you think sleep is important or not?
Really?
Why do you think it's important? Yes. Yes, we can recharge our body too. And you know, in our life, if we divide the time in our life from 24 hours that we divide our life in each day, sleep is nearly 1/3 of our life in each day. So that's why it is very important. And for the sleep, how can we see if it is a good sleep or not? So do you think, what about your sleep quality? Are you think you have a good sleep quality or not? And also the quantity of sleep. In sleep, we need to think in 2 ways, not just only the quality, but we need to think the amount of sleep. Because in the different age group, we have the different requirement of sleep needed in each night. Even for the younger people need to sleep for maybe 10 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours. But for the newborn or the younger group like that, they won't sleep too long as a continuously for 16 or 18 hours continuously, but they will sleep like a fragment. They sleep for maybe 10 hours, 8 hours, and then woke up, and then sleep again, and then woke up, and then sleep again. And then when we get older, like a teenage, until the age of 65 or 60 something, the time that we sleep will be shorter, usually in the range of 7 to 9 hours that we need for our body. But when we get older such as more than 75 or 65, for the older group, they need to sleep shorter, in a short period of time. And the sleep is like a fragmented sleep again, but it wasn't like a fragmented sleep in the young people. The young people, they slept, they have a good quality of sleep. And then they woke up. They could go back to sleep very easy. But for the old age group, they woke up, but they had a hard time to fall back asleep again. This is the difference about in norm of the age group. And what about how can we go to sleep and how can we wake up? In the brain, we have circuit. The circuit in the brain, that is a chemical substance in neurotransmitter we call that is a melatonin. Melatonin, it will be released from the high part of the brain, and it helps to open the gate. This is like a door to go to sleep. Once if the melatonin level get higher, so we can go to sleep very easy. And another chemical is called adenosine. Adenosine is produced from the full part of the brain. Adenosine, it will increase, more accumulated when we are, say, as awake. If we stay awake too long, so adenosine will go up until at the time that we feel like, okay, in the body we feel like adenosine is too high, then our body would like to go to sleep. So for this process, for the process of melatonin, we call this is for the adenosine, we call this is a homeostasis for the process. But for the melatonin, we call this is a circadian process. Circadian means like a circle, and then that means within 24 hours. So then we have these two processes. Then if we would like to go to sleep, that means we need to enhance these two processes. For, excuse me.
Can that get louder, please?
Okay.
And the subject is that slower.
Slower.
Sorry. Okay.
This is actually strange. They're so articulate, the doctors from BPH, that they often talk quite fast.
Okay, I will talk slowly. Then, okay. The first chemical I mentioned is melatonin. Melatonin, it is like a chemical who help to open the gate of sleep. The second chemical is called adenosine. Adenosine, it will be accumulated in the body once we stay as awake for a long time. So for these two processes, how can we enhance this process? So as if you would like to go to sleep, somebody would like to take the melatonin, but some, they won't want to take the melatonin. But how can we do that? So it means we need to inhibit or stop another process with counteract with the sleep process. This is sleep process. I am going to mention about the wake process. What is the wake process? Actually, okay, let's come back to melatonin again. The melatonin, for the time in general, in our nature, the melatonin usually produced from our brain in the evening or once if we stay with a dim light. The melatonin will be increased up a bit until reaching at a high peak at about 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. In between this period of time, if we notice ourselves, sometimes we feel like, oh, I don't like to sleep at this point. But if we try to against the body, so we cannot go back to sleep very easily. So it means if we would like to go to sleep, that means we need to enhance the melatonin function by first, if you would like to take the melatonin, we can take it and take it at the time that like a natural melatonin release. That means at the time of 10 o'clock in the night. And the second is about the adenosine that I mentioned before. For the adenosine is released from the forebrain. Adenosine, if we stay too long for awake, adenosine will be released more. Then there is one substance make the adenosine to be reduced. That is caffeine. So once if you take caffeine, if you consume the caffeine, caffeine will inhibit the adenosine action. That means you will have worse time to go to sleep and stay asleep. This is about two chemicals. And as I mentioned about the sleeping, that means when we stay asleep, it doesn't mean that we stay at the same stage of sleep. For our sleep, actually we have three stages of sleep. First, we call this light sleep. Second, we call this deep sleep. And the third sleep, it is REM sleep. REM sleep is stand for rapid eye movement sleep. For these three stages of sleep, there are the difference of the important. For the light sleep for stage 1 and stage 2. This for stage 1 and stage 2. The important is to help the body to have an emotional and physical relaxation. That's it. And then when we can go to the deep sleep, another thing, this is important, which is about the memory condensation and also repairing system. If we have the less chance to stay as a deep sleep. That means chance of declining of the body function will be increased. And also about the memory function. If we have a worse of the memory function or declining of the memory function, that's why the first thing that we need to think about is, do I have a problem with sleep? Do I have a deep sleep enough? This is the thing that we have to ask our body. This is about sleep. And then when we pass the deep sleep, we go to the REM sleep. REM sleep or rapid eye movement sleep. In this show as a bar of orange bar, orange bar. For this bar, for the REM sleep, the importance of REM sleep has two things. First, it is about the memory also, but the memory, it is about the procedural memory. The procedural memory such as we know how to drive, we know how to play a guitar, we know how to play a piano, we know how to play sport. This is we call procedural memory, which will be accumulated in our brain once we stay in the sleep dreaming stage. Another is, in this state, it is important for the body system about the autonomic nervous function system. That means how can the body know to adjust the blood pressure, to adjust the changing of the heart pumping. So in some people, they mention about, I usually being like fainting, syncope, fainting, dizzy all the time. So we have to think about the sleep also, because if our brain could not go to the REM sleep or less time to stay in REM sleep, that means our body will not get enough training for how to adjust the blood pressure and also the heart rate. So these states are very important. In the cycle in each night, we need this cycle about 3.4 to 4.5 cycle for each night. And in each of cycle, it takes time about 90 to 120 minutes. So in the average, for adult, that means we need the time to stay asleep in between 7 to 9 hours a night, continuously. Not just slept, woke up, slept, woke up, no. I mean, sleep continuously throughout the night. This is the importance of sleep. Then, and once we slept throughout the night, and what about in the morning? We got up. How can we get up? We get up because first, it is about the circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm says, okay, we have the stage of sleep, and then we will have stage of awake. And also for this rhythm, it works by having the environment factors. The first strong factor helps our body or our brain to get up. It is a light, strong sunlight, or even light, but for the strong sunlight, it is very important. Or you can heard about the blue light effect. Many people mention about the blue light effect because for the blue light range, in this range, it has a strong gas to wake the brain up. And inside the forebrain, it has the nucleus. We call this as a nucleus. It's called SCN or suprachiasmatic nucleus. Once there is the light, the eye, and then it sends the signal to the brain and wake the brain, whole of the brain up. At the same time, not just only whole of the brain up, it sends the signal go down to the leg and send the signal to other parts of the body. And at the same time, again, once if there is something hit our body or shaking our body, or once if we hear some sound, so this thing also wake our brain up, because it is like go from the brain to other parts of the body, and then the signal from or the sensation from other parts of the body go back to the brain and help to wake whole of the brain up at the same time. So this is the stage of wake and sleep, as I mentioned. That's why we, in general, we have the circadian rhythm in the normal range in between the time of 10 o'clock at night and until 7 or 6 o'clock in the morning. This is normal pattern of sleep. But for the abnormal pattern of sleep, we call this is abnormal circadian rhythm, such as in the person who get older. Get older, we call that rhythm is advanced sleep phase syndrome. So that person tend to sleep earlier and then wake up at the middle of the night earlier too. But in the young age group, this thing will be opposite. The young age group tend to sleep very late and wake up very late in the morning too. So we call this delayed sleep phase. But for some, if they cannot sleep tight, they sleep as a fragmented sleep. So this is look like irregular sleep. Every time, if you mention about, I could not sleep, when you come to see me, the thing that I need to ask from you is, what about your pattern of sleep? What time did you go to bed? What time did you get up? How often did you get up? And what about once when you stay asleep? Do you think could you sleep tight? Or if you think you can sleep just a little light sleep? Okay, we need to clarify what is the problem. Is the problem happening because you cannot continue your sleep, you cannot fall asleep, or actually you can fall asleep very easy, but you have the poor quality of sleep during sleep. That's why that poor quality woke yourself up very often. That's thing we need to discuss in the detail. But at least how we can observe ourselves. We observe ourselves by if we have a hard time to fall asleep, if we wake up very often at night, if we use the restroom more than 2 times a night very often, and if we wake up very early in the morning and cannot go back to sleep. These are the problems. We need to discuss more about this. And then about, I'm sorry, I think this is, how can we help our body to go to sleep? After we know that this is the problem, and then when we would like to go to sleep, what can we do is, we need to cut the body out of the environment, such as for the eye. We need to cover our eye. We need to turn off the light. We need to stay away from the blue light things, blue light device, such as the computer screen, the telephone, and the iPad, and everything which is about the screen. We need to avoid from this at least half an hour before decided bedtime. It will help to fall asleep easier. Then let's think about it here. If we think we cannot sleep well because we hear everything around ourselves, that means we might need to use an earblock to cut the body out of the environment. Then about the temperature, we need to adjust the temperature inside the room to not too hot and not too cold, and it will help us to stay asleep easier. Somebody asked me, and what about if we take warm bath at night? Is it help? Yes, it helps. Because the warm bath, it helps to relax the emotion and also physical. That's why we can go to sleep easier. Somebody asked me, it's better if we take, if we drink the milk before going to bed or banana? Yes, it's good, because for this thing, after we eat it, it will be changed to have some substance, and finally it induces to have a more level of melatonin in the body, in the brain, and help us to fall asleep. Then another question that I used to hear, that person asked me, is it good if I drink alcohol, some drink of alcohol, and then it helps me to go to sleep? Actually, yes, alcohol is help you to go to sleep, but the problem is first, if you consume the alcohol in more amount, it usually induces yourself to wake up, not go to sleep. But if you drink the alcohol in a small amount, yes, it helps you, hit you to fall asleep. But the problem of the alcohol is this, even you fall asleep because of the action of the effect of the alcohol. But after that's about 3-4 hours, the alcohol will be gone from our body, and then at the time, the brain will recognize that, oh, nobody tell me to sleep, so I can get up. So it is the problem later. So it is about the, we cannot stay asleep after we drink the alcohol. It is a problem of the alcohol. So if we would like to go to sleep, try to avoid the alcohol to be the sedative drug or sedative thing hit us to stay asleep. And then what else that we can do about the nicotine? For some people that they smoke, try to avoid from smoking before going to bed because the nicotine, which is the substance in the cigarette, is effect similar as the alcohol. So we need to avoid from that. Another thing is monosodium glutamate. Have you ever heard something about the monosodium glutamate? Somebody mentioned that when I go outside, I eat out and then I come back. I could not sleep. Have you ever heard something like that, or have you ever faced that problem? Actually, it's true. It's true because for the monosodium glutamate, it acts in the brain. It induces whole of the brain getting up. We call it arousal or awake. That's why it is hard to go to sleep. Then we need to avoid from this substance. And more than this, what else? It's about napping. Once, if you are very sleepy during the daytime, I didn't mean naps at night. Night, that means sleep. But naps, that means during the daytime. Could we take a nap? Yes, we can. We can take naps. But the best nap, it should be in the morning or at noon. But try not to nap after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Because of what? Because if you take naps, or if you take nap very long, longer than half an hour for each time, that affect adenosine level. Do you remember adenosine level? I mentioned before. Adenosine, it is a chemical in the brain that induces the brain to go to sleep and stay asleep also. If you take nap, adenosine will be dropped because of the napping. And then 1 week down again. That means our body needs the time to accumulate the adenosine level again and again and again. That's why it will be hard for us if we take nap in the late afternoon, and we will have a hard time to go to sleep during the nighttime. It is about napping, but we can nap. Try not to nap longer than half an hour in each time of napping. Try to take naps more than 1 time per each day. Try not to take naps after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This is about napping. Then, this is the whole idea. It's about the physiology of sleep and wake, and also the benefit of sleep. Then, I am going to talk you through the problem of sleep. What is a sleep problem? Actually, if you think about sleep problem, actually it looks like this is a silent killer. It hides in our body. But less of the time that we will think about it. We think about it if in each year, okay, we need to get the body checked up. We need to check the hormonal level. We need to check for the testosterone level. We need to check the heart about that thing, those things. But one thing, as I said, 1/3 of our life is sleep. We also need to check the body function during sleep also. Because if not, it will produce the problem of you both of the quality and quantity of sleep, such as the problem about the amount of sleep. If you cannot sleep as an insomnia, if you cannot have a chance to go to sleep as a sleep deprivation, these two things, it makes your body getting decline of the systemic function. The second is, it is about the quality of sleep. If you can stay and sleep in the poor quality, such as you stay and sleep, but you cannot breathe well, you stop breathing intermittently, you snore, you lack of the oxygen, and what about your brain? What about your heart function at that time? We are going to talk more. And what about at the time when you sleep, but you cannot relax your body. Your body move all the time because this is like restless leg syndrome, and also limb movement disorder during sleep. What is going to happen with your body? The first thing I mentioned about the insomnia. Insomnia, as I mentioned before, we need to think which stage of sleep that induces you having the insomnia. Is it the first time that you go to bed is hard, or you go to bed easy, but you cannot stay asleep? For these two stages of insomnia, these have difference and the same similar cause that we need to find out. Such as for the person who cannot go to sleep falling asleep very easy. It could be possible for first thing as about the mental. So about the emotion, about other things around himself at that time might induce him or her wake up instead of go to sleep. The second is, if we go to sleep easy, but we tend to wake up very often, that means we need to think about the quality of sleep, not just really the quantity of sleep, such as when we sleep, then if we stop breathing, that means at that time the brain could not stay asleep, because the brain will recognize as oh, I might be dying because I stopped breathing, I need to wake up. That's why the brain wake up intermittently. This is about the insomnia. But the insomnia and sleep deprivation, these are a big difference, because for the sleep deprivation, so we don't have a chance to sleep. But for the insomnia, we have a chance to sleep, but we cannot go to sleep or stay asleep. For the sleep deprivation, such as we have many things to do. We have that day, we have those things, we have to go to that person, stay with that person, and then we have the less chance to sleep. For the sleep deprivation, we call deprivation when we have a time to sleep less than 4 hours a night. We divide to be acute and chronic sleep deprivation. More than 3 hours, we call this chronic. The difference is, if you have to have a sleep deprivation, try not to sleep deprived more than 3 days. Because if you sleep deprived more than 3 days, it affects for the psychomotor vigilance. We call this psychomotor vigilance. That is okay. How can we decide how fast we can decide to do this thing, that thing, those things? It will be dropped. So this is a problem. If we have the sleep deprivation, first thing if we can think about ourselves is we can think about many things very slow, and we can decide to do works or do other things very slow. It is a problem of the brain. If we have a sleep deprived more than 3 days, it affects to the immune system. It affects to the hormonal system. So declining of systemic function will happen after that. So if you cannot go to sleep because you need other things to do, try not to have a sleep deprived more than 2 days. And after, if you have the chance, after 2 days, try to go to sleep at the same time that you can sleep. And for adults and also the older persons, they can go back to the normal stage of sleep and can complete their sleep very easy if compared with the young age group. This is sleep deprivation. And then for the function, as I mentioned, it happens both of the brain function. About the cognition, it's about the memory, it affects the heart. It induces the heart having stress, so the chance of having heart failure. It could happen if we have a sleep deprivation or even chronic insomnia. For the first graph, you can see this is the level of cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone. We call this a stress hormone in the body. Cortisol will be built up in the body once we stay awake. But once if we fall asleep, the cortisol level will be dropped down. But think in the case that we cannot go to sleep with insomnia, sleep deprived, or even we sleep and then we wake up intermittently. So this means the cortisol level might not drop down, but it will be stay high. It is a stress hormone. So this means it will induce the function of the heart function of the brain, function of every part of the body getting worse. So this is a problem of cortisol level. More than cortisol level, if you have a sleep deprived, if you sleep less, if you have a poor quality of sleep, it affects the hormone, such as it induces the ghrelin. Ghrelin is a hormone in the body. Ghrelin will be built up. Ghrelin induces the body to be hungry. Think about the time that you cannot sleep well. What are you going to do? Many people wake up and eat. And what's happened? You get obese. You get fat, a lot of fat accumulated in your body. And for the ghrelin, if we fall asleep, the ghrelin will be counteracted by another. We call this is leptin hormone. Leptin hormone produced from the brain also. It counteracts with the ghrelin, and ghrelin will be dropped down. Leptin will help the body to feel like, oh, I am full. In the market, if you notice, there are many drugs that they say this is to reduce the weight, and it contains for the leptin. Why they use that? Because the leptin has an effect like this. But to me, I don't want you to take that medicine to reduce your weight. We need to do other things such as exercise or reduce the food for consuming and other things instead of taking the leptin. But at least, okay, I try to let you know what is the leptin and what is the ghrelin effect. More than this, about the glucose tolerance. The glucose tolerance, that means how to accumulate the glucose level in the body. If you cannot sleep well, if you have a poor quality of sleep, if you stop breathing during sleep, if you move yourself a lot during sleep, that means the level of glucose in your body will be in the higher level than normal. And what about that? It is a diabetes. It is also about the metabolism of the body. You will gain weight. Even somebody, they say, I ate less, I exercise, but why did I gain weight? I don't understand. Why did I gain weight again and again? Even I try to control the diet. It could be because of this reason. Because that person could not have a good quality of sleep. And that's why that is an imbalance of the hormone system and metabolism in the body. Another thing is the hormone of testosterone. For the testosterone, many people have a problem with I have a low level of the testosterone, so I need to take more the testosterone hormone to get more testosterone hormone to build up my cells and to boost the energy in myself. Actually, is this correct or not? I cannot say correct now because actually we need to find out what is the cause induced you having low level of testosterone or the sex hormone. If you cannot sleep well, the testosterone hormone will be reduced. So instead of we just only taking the testosterone level, no, testosterone hormone, we get that. No, we need to find out what could be the cause. Is your sleep has a problem? If you have a problem of sleep, we need to fix that. And you might need to get the testosterone hormone at the time also, but it won't be in the long term for the testosterone. But we need to fix what is the main problem in this recovery, this thing. And then, this is the video. I would like to show you the video. I don't think this one. Could you please turn on the video, please?
A warrior stabbing his imaginary opponent, then finishing him off with a flourish. All this time,
This guy, he is asleep.
He suffers from a
Right now he is sleeping.
unpleasant
He is
and
asleep.
unwanted
But
behavior
he
during
has
deep sleep.
abnormal activity. He has an abnormal behavior.
So do millions of
So,
Americans, including
this could be happening. We call this is the abnormal behavior during sleep. During this time, we call this is parasomnia. Something that's been rosy or sleep. Para has been beside. So this is
a warrior stabbing his imaginary opponent, then finishing him off with a flourish. All this.
If you have this problem, the thing that we have to discuss is about your brain functioning. Because many people, they have the problem of Parkinsonism. For Parkinson's disease, that they shaking like that. Or for some, they take some of medicine, and those medicine have the side effects of being the Parkinsonism. So, for this point, if the person who has the problem of movement disorder during sleep or have the abnormal behavior during sleep like this, we need to observe and discuss what is this. Is this a parasomnia? Is this the thing that they fake, or is another thing that we can do? Okay, that we can do for the treatment. This is another video. Could you please take one video, please? You think what's wrong with this guy? Is this normal? You think is this normal?
Sexually deprived, it doesn't look better.
So, it is not normal because usually for us, when we stay asleep, we should, for the body, the muscle activity should be relaxed. We should not move like this. We call this abnormal moving. That means move a bit often. So for this thing, it could induce the brain cannot stay asleep, but have intermittently wake up at night. And this thing, we also need to fix the problem and find out. It could be because of the abnormal sensation of the nerves. It could be the disconnection between the brain and the legs and the arms during sleep, that the brain could not send the command to other parts of the body to stay still. This we call the limb movement disorder during sleep. And
4:40 in the evening. Incredible.
this is normal. Have you ever do something like this? Like when you sit somewhere and you didn't feel well in your legs, like something creeping, crawling in your legs, in your thigh, and you need to move, you need to shake your legs. Have you ever feel something like that? If somebody used to face with these feelings, we call this restless leg syndrome. That means the legs don't want to stay rest. The legs would like to move. It could happen because of first, the abnormal sensation of the nerves, such as the person who has diabetes and have the abnormal sensation, abnormal function of the nerves. It could be because that person has a low level of iron in the blood. Because iron in the blood, it helped to be like a messenger. Messenger helped to take the command from the brain to the legs. So if for some people have these two problems, we need to find out, is this because of their habit or is it because of other abnormal reasons? So go to the next slide, please. Click on the second picture, please.
He suffered from severe narcolepsy for 30 years before being diagnosed.
The average time from the onset of narcolepsy symptoms to a
For this
diagnosis of
thing, we call this
narcolepsy is about
narcolepsy.
10 years.
Narcolepsy,
And during
if
that
you
time,
remember the
people
picture
may
I showed you
consider
for the
themselves
wake
or be
system
considered by
in the
others
body,
to be either
that we
crazy
have
or
the
crazy.
nucleus in the brain, produce the chemical, wake ourselves up. The person who has narcolepsy, they might happen because that function of the brain was destroyed. Or it might be because of have the history of infection inside the brain, which induced that part of the brain destroying. So once, if that person come to see me as a problem of, I am very sleepy all day, I slept nearly whole of the day, I got up, but I did not feel that I slept at all. So what are we going to think about? First, it might be, could it be possible if that person has narcolepsy? Could it be possible if that person has a problem of poor quality of sleep, such as sleep apnea, such as stop breathing during sleep, such as moving body a lot during sleep? So we need to find out what is the cause? Go to the next slide, please. So, and click on the first picture, please. I think for this scene, many people get familiar with this thing. This is snoring. But if you notice, he did not just snore, but in many times, like he tried to collapse in the air. This is air collapsing. So this is a problem. So that's mean snoring. How could it happen? Let's think about inside our throat. Inside our throat, it has a uvula inside. It has a soft part. And for this thing, actually, it can open and close because inside there are many of muscle groups help to open up and close, open up and close. During we are awake, for this muscle, we can control it. If we would like to stop breathing, if we would like to breathe again. But when we are asleep, for this muscle activity, in general, actually normally for this muscle activity, for the tone of the activity, it will be reduced, the tone of the muscle activity. That means inside the throat, instead of it is wider like this, no. But when the muscle activity reduced, so the tone reduced, it collapsed. Inside the throat, for the airway, inside the throat, this is like a canal. So that canal collapsed. Once it collapsed, and when we breathe in and out via the narrow canal, it produces sound snoring. That's why we have snoring. Once, if that person has snoring, any person, if they have snoring, that means it is not normal. Don't think that snoring is a normal, but it is a common finding. It is a normal finding. It is a common finding. We need to find out why did that person snore and how severe of the snore is. Some persons snore very loudly, but some persons snore just like nearly a bit of snoring. We need to find that every time of snore, that means okay, the air went through the narrow canal inside the throat. But what about the oxygen level? If the person snore and then has a low level of oxygen, that means at the time the brain lack of the oxygen. The brain tends to wake up and it induces the poor quality of sleep, induces the poor function of the brain and the heart. This is about the product of snoring, and we call this as a sleep apnea. This is also snoring, and you can notice what happened during snoring, as I said. First, you see 95, 96, something like that is the oxygen level. But 60 something, that is the heart rate. When we compare both, we notice that once we snore, kept continuing snoring, that means it induces the oxygen level getting down. On the other hand, the heart pumping so faster, because it's like very excited. Oh, I'm going to stop breathing or not? So the heart pumping. And finally, could you go faster? Could you please go faster? Maybe at the third, fourth of this. Could you score it? Faster. No. At the visible, yes.
Next one? No.
You click on the visible and it will show the bar to move.
Go to the next slide.
Sorry.
That's fine. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to show you that. Okay, for this snoring, after his level, right? When the oxygen, it went down, and the heart go up more quickly. And in sometimes he woke up like choking the air because at that time the brain could not tolerate anymore. And then the brain woke up And at the time of waking up, so the oxygen level, the body resuming the oxygen level again. The oxygen level go up and also restart breathing again. But for this thing in the body, it happens again and again and again in each night. So it is a problem. And how can you notice yourself if you have the problem of sleep or not? What can you feel is, first, if you get up in the morning and you feel like I am still sleepy, or I am lazy, or I would like to sleep more, I would like to continue my sleep, I would like to complete my sleep. Or when you get up in the morning and if you feel like I have dry mouth, I have dry throat, or very fatigue, weakness like that. So that let us think back to the sleep quality. And during sleep, how can we observe the person who might have a problem of sleep? Such as, first, as I said, if that person snore. Second, if that person snore, comparing between snore intermittently, snore and stop, and then snore again, and then stop. And the second person who snore continuously. Let me ask you, you think which person has more severe of the sleep breathing disorder? Between the first person who snore and then stop, and then snore again, and then snore for a while, and then stop, and the second person continuous snoring, snore continuously throughout the night. You think who has more severe degree of the disorder? Yes, thank you. Because if that person snore and then stop and then snore again, it will be similar as the video I show you, that snore and then stop because the airway totally closed. But they start snoring again because the brain woke up and then the airway getting open again, and that's why they snoring again. That means that person try to breathe again. But for the person who snore continuously, that means even the airway collapse. But it has actually partial collapses, constant or partial collapses like this all the time. That's why the snore is continuously. So this is how to observe, how to notice yourselves or the body who stay next to you. Is there a problem or not? This is the thing. And this is a picture I show you to let you know how about the collapsing, as I said, inside the throat. For the first picture, for the right-hand picture, there is no collapsing of the upper airway. So look at the arrow. The arrow go through. That means that the air go through the canal inside the throat. But for the left-hand picture, it shows once you go to sleep, that means the muscle of the tongue relax. The tongue drop down, and also uvula inside the soft palate drop down. That's why it induces you having the narrow of the canal inside the throat. And somebody asked that, how could it be possible? Because during the day I am good. Because during the day for this muscle activity, it will be controlled. But at night, the brain could not control this muscle activity at all. So, in the case that some person who has a big tongue, who has a small jaw, some person asked me, or has a long uvula. Somebody asked me, I would like to cut my tongue. I would like to small size of my tongue. I would like to cut my uvula. Is this help? Yes, it might help because it helps to open the airway getting wider. But the problem is, if you cut off the tongue, that means in the near future, the tongue will be growing up again. The tongue is a muscle that can growing up again. So it is not necessary to cut some part of the tongue. Or even the uvula. Even you cut your uvula or try to decorate it to make it wider. But in the near future, it will drop down again because the main problem is not that thing, but it caused from the atonia or reduce the muscle tone of this activity. That is the problem. And when you look into yourself, try to think, I have a risk of sleep apnea or stop breathing or not. You try to see yourselves. If you have a big belly, if you have a lot of fat over around your neck, so once if you go to sleep, everything drop and induce you having the narrow canal inside the throat. Second, look inside your mouth. If you have a large of your tongue, if you open your mouth and you see in the mirror, you cannot see the uvula. So this means the canal inside the throat is very small, and it has a chance to collapse and obstruct during the night time too. You look at your chin. If you look at your chin and you have the problem because it's retrograde, like at the chin back, so that means the size inside the mouth is also smaller too. So what can we do for this? After we try to think what's wrong with myself or not, then if we would like to prove, if we would like to see what is the exact problem and how can we solve this problem. So let's go to get the sleep test done. The sleep test in the lab, in the hospital, we call this Polysomnogram study. What are we going to do is first, we monitor the brain waves. We see how could you sleep at night. Can you sleep tight? Or you have just only the light sleep and you have very often of brain waking up at night or not. The second thing, we monitor about the breathing patterns. We would like to see the oxygen level. We would like to see the airflow over your nose and over your mouth. And also, we give you the belt to wrap around your belly and your chest to see the movement of the body, of your belly and your chest. If you stop breathing, so as means first, or if you reduce of the effort of breathing, that means this movement will be reduced. The oxygen will be down, the brain will wake up. But more than this thing, we would like to check about your heart function during sleep too. We would like to check about the muscle relaxation during sleep. So for the sleep test, it doesn't mean to see just only the sleep apnea or to see the breathing pattern of sleep, but the main thing, because I am a neurologist, so the main thing that I would like to see, I would like to see about the brain function during sleep. If we don't have a brain function during sleep well, if the brain cannot sleep well during the night, so this means it affects the body during the daytime. That is the main thing that we would like to see during sleep lab. And this is another method that we can use for the investigation for the test about sleep. We call this is the active watch. Active, that stands for activity. Watch is watch. So for this thing, when you wear it will let us know your activity in each day. It records whole day for 7 to 14 days. Up to you if you would like to wear it 7 days or 14 days. It records in each time. If you have the activity very often, it will show like a black bar. Yes. But at the time, if you fall asleep or you did not have too much activity, the bar of the black will be dropped. And we can notice that which time that you sleep or which time you fall asleep or which time that you have more of activity, and we can discuss again that what about the activity like this is affect your sleep, is affect about your problem that you have or not. So these two things, that's why these are the instruments that we use for the study about sleep. And another thing that I tend to give to every person who I take care, I call this as a sleep diary. Sleep diary will let us know, will let you know also about your sleep pattern. What time you go to bed? What time do you get up in the morning? What time do you exercise? And what time about your feeling? And we use both of the data from the active watch together with the sleep diary. And let's check what is the problem that we can fix for. And so for my last slide about depression, so I mentioned about what is sleep. Sleep is not coma. Sleep is sleep. Sleep does mean another stage of the brain and the body system. This is not coma. That means every system of our body still works. They work in a different way if comparing with awake. That is sleep. And sleep is also important because sleep has many stages, and each stage. If light sleep, again, I mentioned light sleep, it is important for emotional and physical relaxation, such as if you take naps, you have some light sleep, then you get a refresh again. But if you can go to deep sleep, you will have a body repairing system and memory condensation. If you can go to the REM sleep, sleepy breathing, that means it is help the body about the autonomic nervous system function works better. And also about the memory with procedural thing that will be better. This is important of sleep. And if you get illness from something, if you have a deep sleep will help to do a repairing system, repairing function in your body too. That is the importance of sleep. And asking me that, what is a dream? Everybody used to have dream. I believe that. But you know, what is the dream? Where has the dream come from? The dream, it comes from the activity during the day, the emotional during the day before going to bed. It usually be that. Because usually during the day when we face with many things, many activities, for this thing, it will be back to keep in one part of the brain. We call this as thalamus. It will be keep there, and then once we are asleep, if we are asleep, so for that memory will be go out from that part of the brain and spreading all around the brain, and that's why it induces us have dreaming, and also it will mix up with the emotion, mix up with the memory in the past a long time ago. So if you have dream, that means you have to be glad that, oh, I have dream. Maybe I have a good sleep. Maybe I can complete my sleep. But that is just maybe. We have to test. We have to undergo some tests and see if it is a good quality or not. That is a dream. And ask me back, if you have a daytime sleepiness, daytime tiredness, does that mean you need to sleep more at night or not? Or yes, it could be possible. You need to have a longer sleep at night. But again, don't remember that not just the amount of sleep, you also need a quality. The quality, we will know quality only the time you are undergo the sleep test in hospital. That is about the quality of sleep. And insomnia, it doesn't mean just only having a problem of trouble to go to sleep, but also during sleep, you can continue to sleep and you get up very early. And we need to find out the answer for the treatment of insomnia. It doesn't mean only sleeping pill. Try to beware that sleeping pill might induce you having the dementia or the Alzheimer in the future. And also for the sleeping pill, if you cannot sleep, you take a sleeping pill. But if you also have a problem of stop breathing, collapsing of the airway, sleep apnea during sleep, sleeping pill worsening this abnormality in your body. So you have to be careful before take the sleeping pill. It is not good to take the sleeping pill, except if we find that, okay, we don't have other problems, we have just need the problem of go to sleep. We might need a sleeping pill just sometimes. But the better way more than sleeping pill, it is, we call this cognitive training. So this means we can try to train your brain to recognize what is sleep and how can I go to sleep? How can I stay asleep? We can do that, but it might take time for longer than using the sleeping pill. But this is better than the sleeping pill. So, and also again, mention about snoring. Once you have snoring is a normal snoring is the abnormal side, but it could be the abnormal that we might not get the treatment, or it could be an abnormal thing that we need to get the treatment. So once if you have snoring, try not to ignore about snoring. Let's think, is this a common finding, or it just only happened with me, but it don't affect anything in the body. So all of this is some idea about sleep. Thank you so much.
Questions?
Yes, please.
I was very interested in your talk. It was very, very...
Hold the microphone high.
I was very interested in your talk. I thought it was very, very useful. Most of the time, I have no trouble sleeping, but sometimes if I'm under stress or have a problem that I can't deal with, it's very difficult for me to fall asleep. And so my question is, based on your cognitive training, which I just caught at the end, can you talk a little bit about what that consists of?
Actually, for the good English, we call this cognitive behavior training in insomnia. Cognitive training, that means we try to build up the believable in the brain for our body, for the new things, such as we need to believe that, okay, even I cannot sleep whole night, but I will get up, refresh. I can continue my work as usual. I can do everything as usual, and I will have a power. We have to try to train the brain to think like this. And then before going to bed, we need to think as a, today you don't have to think as, okay, before going to bed. Many people usually think that, oh, tonight I will go to bed and I will sleep very early. I will try to sleep, but try not to think like that. If you think like that, that means it usually induces your brain having more stress, because if you go to bed and you cannot sleep, then your brain gets stressed. And more than that, we call this is a cognitive. Cognitive means try to make the brain getting some more idea and the new idea about the believable of sleep. This is cognition. And about the behavioral training, such as if you go to bed every night at 11 o'clock, but if you can sleep, falling asleep exactly at 1 o'clock, instead of you go to bed at 11, you go to bed at nearly 1 o'clock. Because if not, that means if you go to bed at 11, you fall asleep again at 1. In between that time, you try to toss and turn, stay on bed, and at that point it induces you having more stress. So because this is a behavioral thing that we have to practice. Another is when you get up in the morning, you need to get up, not just only wake up. Get up at the same time every morning. Try not to be lazy. Such as, oh, last night I couldn't sleep well, I would like to sleep more. No, you have to get up at the same time. This is a behavioral thing that we have to practice. Another is how to avoid from the thing that induce your brain waking up, as I said, for the sound, for the phone, for other things, and also many activities that might induce you waking up at night, such as the exercise. Many people, they prefer to exercise in the evening, but the best way is try not to exercise close to the bedtime. At least give that period for 4 hours. And also for the caffeine, for the nicotine, we need to avoid from those at least 4 to 6 hours before the bedtime. So this is about the behavior. But sometimes even we know for these things that we should do, that should do, those should do. But we cannot do it by ourselves. That's why we need to talk about these things that we have to do with somebody and help together to try to correct this thing, to fix this problem. This is about cognitive behavioral therapy. Yes, please.
If you wake up and realise that you've had a dream, does that mean that you've been sleeping well or not well?
We cannot say exactly that is well or not well, but we know that once if we have dream, that means the cycle of our sleep, as I said, we go to the cycle of dream, and we might pass the cycle of light sleep and deep sleep. But for some people, they might have the longer period of dream, but for that period, it induces the period of deep sleep getting less. So that means if we have more dream, if we have dream, and we would like to know is it good or not good, that means better to undergo the lab in the hospital for the sleep test, and let's check for how many percentage of dream you have. And also you observe yourselves when you get up in the morning for each morning. What about your feeling? If you feel like, oh, I am refreshed, I have a lot of energy from last night. So if you have the dream like that, it might be good. But for sure, let's make a test.
Very interesting talk, Doctor. 2 points that you haven't sort of mentioned, and it can affect quite a few gentlemen here, is prostate enlarged. Now, it can disrupt your sleep terribly. No matter what time you go to bed, you sleep for 2 hours because then your brain triggers it off and says, I need to go to the toilet. Then you have a problem getting back to sleep, and then 3 hours later, oh, I don't suffer with it, but I know many people do. And the other thing is, what is the effect on the brain with exhale, CO2? I mean, do you recommend a window to be open or shut? Especially when you have 2 people in a small area where they're breathing in oxygen, but then breathing out at 16%. So there's 2 questions there. I think the main one is prostate. Right.
For the first question, you asked me about using the restroom very often at night. For some person who has a problem with the enlarging of the prostate gland, yes, it could be possible that they might using the restroom a bit often. But if we get the treatment properly for the prostate enlargement, so we have to think in another way that why does our bladder, urine bladder, works very often at night and produce a lot of urination at night. One thing that could be possible, yes, prostate gland enlargement could be a cause, but it might not be just only one reason. The main reason and another important reason is sleep apnea. You know because of what? Because once if you stop breathing at night, as I mentioned about the heart, the heart will pumping very fast at that time, and every time of pumping of the heart, so it sends the blood into the kidney and it produces the urine, and that's why that person gets up at night using the restroom because of urination, because the heart pumping very fast and very hard, so it produces the urine because the heart sends the blood to the kidney. It won't be just only the reason of bigger of the process or enlarging of the process. This is the answer for the first question. For the second question again, please.
It's only one question. That's enough.
Yes.
I have what can only be described as an appalling sleep pattern. I'm very lucky if I get 3 to 4 hours any night, and I will wake and read. A lot of this was caused because originally I was in a major road accident, and derived from that I had a kidney problem. And they put me at one stage on 75 milligrams of prednisolone, which, as you would appreciate, gave me one hell of a buzz. At one stage I didn't sleep for 3 days and then finally crashed out. And this seems to have had a lasting effect upon my sleep pattern. since then, and this has been going on for probably now close on 20 years. Is there any real reason or method that I can cure this?
You mean for the prednisone, for the medicine?
Yeah, they put me on prednisolone because my kidneys basically shut down on me, and this was to kick them back.
Yes, it could be possible. It could
I
be
mean,
possible.
yeah, I no longer take it now, but it left me with this diabolical sleep pattern.
Yes, it could be possible because for the prednisone, it affects for the hormone, which is steroid hormone or the cortisol level hormone. As I said, for the cortisol level, if we have the high level of cortisol hormone, so it will be hard to fall asleep. So if ask me, this is effect or not for the long-term using of steroid, yes, it could be affected. And also it affects the function of adrenal gland, which produce the hormone of cortisol. So in the meanwhile that you use that medicine, and then at that point, it looks like your body try to get used to that medicine already. And once even you stop that medicine, you might still having that problem. So that could be possible. But right now, if you already stop those medicine, we need to find out what is other things that could be possible induce you still having this problem. So it won't not just be the medicine or the hormone for sure. It might be other things else hidden in your body. This is the best way that we can do.
In front of you, please. In front. You mentioned about when to stop taking caffeine before going to bed and about reduced light, like iPads. Do you have a very simple crib sheet which says do's and don'ts about preparation for sleep? So just a simple yes or no would be fine.
It is good. As I said, we need to avoid from this thing. And the way that we can go to sleep very easy. First, for these electronic devices, we avoid from that because for the light, the blue light from this electronic thing, or even the light, it induces inside the eye, send the signal to the brain. Sorry.
I've got that. I just would like to see a preparation sheet. Don't do this and do this. That's all I would like to do. Do you have that available?
I can tell you right now, but I don't have like a slide to show you. Okay, what can we do before going to bed? Yes. Oh, actually, I think I have. I have the last. I think the last slide before I restart for the abnormal breathing or abnormal or for the sleep disorder. I have that thing that what you should avoid before going to bed.
That's it. Okay, if it's there, I'll pick it up.
Okay, this is it. So, what should you do first for the caffeine that you have to avoid? The caffeine that you have to avoid, the nicotine, the alcohol that you have to avoid. This is a thing that you have to be careful about it, and also the monosodium glutamate. And for this thing, if you can avoid from those, it will help you to fall asleep easier. And also for the behavior first, before going to bed, you have to stay away from light. If for somebody, they work as a shift work, they work at night. Once they finish the work in the morning, they have to wear sunglasses to avoid from the strong sunlight. For the ear, we have to use the earplug. Sometimes if we stay with the loud environment, we have to stay in the place or the sleeping room which is a bit cool. No. And if you stay in the hot temperature, it usually induces you when waking up also. But if it's too cool, it's also induces you when waking up also. So we need to adjust the temperature around our body. And also the signal that I did for the cursor like this, for the arrow up and down. So this means if for around our body, for the body, in general for physical. Try not to have something around our body that can hit ourselves or wake ourselves up. Because if there is something touch us during sleep or strongly touch, so it usually sends the signal from the down part back to the upper part of the brain and induce the brain to wake up. So this is a slide I did not do as a, for this thing you should not do, for this thing you should not do as a column like this. But I try to show you as a picture like this. This is answer your questions.
That's okay, I'll get it from the internet, it's fine, thank you.
Okay.
We started to run out of time, we've probably got 3 more people. Do you have any experience with meditation and the effects on sleep?
Yes. For meditation is the best also, because every time that we do meditation, it helps the brain to slow down the brain waves activity from the activity which is very fast when we are awake or having the anxiety or depression. But if we do the meditation helps to slow down the brain activity, and then that's why when we try to go to bed, the brain will get used to how to go from the fast activity to the lower activity. So this meditation helps for sure. Meditation helps you to have more of deep sleep. More than meditation, it is exercise. Exercise also helps you to stay in the deep sleep longer than usual. And for the deep sleep, it helps to do a repairing system, to build up your memory as a long-term memory. So it's great if you do that. Yes, please.
I noticed that all the slides where you showed somebody sleeping, they were sleeping on their back. I don't. I sleep on my stomach and or my side. Is one advantageous to help prevent the sleep apnea and the snoring? Do you recommend one over the other? If you do one, should you try to alternate if it's not as good as the other? In other words, all your slides show up on the back. I don't sleep on my back. So is that a problem for me?
For the position of sleep, we cannot say exactly which position is the best for that person. Because if think about in general, comparing about the sleep breathing disorder, when we sleep on the back, on the side and the stomach, on the side and the stomach, usually be better for the breathing pattern comparing with the back. Because for the muscle tone which collapse and compress on the chest wall and the abdomen, so on this side and on stomach will be less. But we cannot say like this exactly in every person, because for some person, for collapses of the airway as the muscle activity I told you, the muscle has the front, but the back there is no muscle. The front and the side of the muscle to be like this. So when it collapses, it can collapse like a front to back. It can collapse like a concentric collapsing. So if that person has a collapsing, just only back and front to the back. So when they sleep on the side or the stomach, the breathing pattern will be better for sure. But for some, they collapse like this. So any position could not help at all. How can we know that? You need to undergo the sleep test in the lab, because in the lab it monitors the body position during sleep and also monitor the brain waves and also monitor for the breathing pattern. And at that time we can correlate which position is the best for sleep in that person. Because for some they have sleep apnea only in the position of the back, but when they sleep on the flank, everything on. So this means that person, if they don't want to treat the sleep apnea by using any devices, the better way is try to sleep on the side or maybe on the stomach.
This will be the last question now, Doctor. We're running out of time.
Just a real quick question.
No, sorry, sir. We've just run out of time.
Okay. I've always believed that snoring, I do a lot of snoring, and it's because they said I sleep with my mouth open, so my throat gets dry. I've seen advertisements where you could spray, and like spray like a coating or something in your throat, so it would keep you from snoring. Do you know anything about that?
Actually, for the spray or any medicine that we use for the upper airway, for the nasal, or even for the oral cavity, it helps in the way that reduce swelling of the mucosa or the soft tissue inside. It helps to reduce snoring. That's why those spray helps. But snoring, even it was reduced by this, but it doesn't mean that for the apnea that might, after that, it will be cured. Because as I said, even for some person, they did not snore, but the airway collapsed because the airway inside the throat, it was lower down than the part that produced the sound of snoring. So if that person concerned about snoring, you might, or that person might use other medicine or device or other things help to reduce snoring. But try to think that if we try to reduce snoring, it might look like we try to cut out the warning sign. If there is no warning sign anymore, we might ignore the abnormal thing in our body. So spray helps, yes, but we need to be careful.
But we can have a couple more questions.
Hello?
Yes, yes.
Just regarding jet lag, do you have any tips or benefits of things you can do to get over that quickly?
Yes, for the jet lag, we have two things that we have to do first. If we would like to sleep after, such as, okay, we go from Thailand to America, and at this point, at the time that we reach there, right now is daytime, over there is nighttime. If we would like to go to sleep, we can use the melatonin. At the point that we are there, we use the melatonin. We can take the sleeping pill too, and also the melatonin, but the safest is the melatonin. Then, during stay in an airplane, we need to count the time that we are in the airplane. And we think at this time, over there in America is the daytime. We also need to stay awake in the airplane. But if we count that, okay, the time that we are staying in the airplane is the night time over there, and we will reach over there in the morning. We also need to sleep in the airplane, which using the medicine to help you going to sleep. The better way is using the melatonin. And the melatonin to use, I recommend you to use the melatonin with the prolonged release, because melatonin over the counter, it is the short-acting release, so it affects just with 3-4 hours. But if you use a long melatonin, it will last for 7 to 8 hours. This is better. Another is if you reach there in the morning, but it is a nighttime, you will be very sleepy because nighttime in Thailand, but over there is morning, you will be sleepy. What you can do is try to stay with the sunlight, because as I said, sunlight is very strong and help you to wake up. That's why try to stay with the sunlight. If you like to consume the alcohol waking you up, you can do that too. But try not to consume the caffeine before or next to, as I said, to the break time when you reach there. So it is about the jet lag.
Doctor, if you have the time, I've been advised to have a few more questions, perhaps. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Any more questions, please?
Okay, please put your hands together for Dr. Nira. We have a certificate of appreciation for you, Doctor. I'm looking forward to a good night's sleep tonight. I was always taught if I couldn't sleep to count sheep. So it's okay if I still do count sheep to go to sleep? Okay. Thank you. And thank you very much for your talk.